Objectives. We are very close to doing the third objective of the day. So far, we could see question details. We could post a question. We could verify in Postman that it did post. The last thing we're working on for the day is user can click on See Answers button to get the answers for the selected question. This is what we're working on right now. So let's keep working on it. Let's build our app and see what we have. Make sure everybody could build. They're in a build state. We could segue. We could add some answer here. Answer. I could post an answer. Segue back to my detail. Now when I click on my show answers, if we click on show answers, what happens? It crashes, right? Right now, if we click on show answers, it's trying to segue to our table view, right? Which would work if we did not have this prepare for segue, right? Our prepare for segue is now it's expecting a UI navigation controller, right? Which we are not segueing to any UI view controller. Let's see what that looks like. In our segue, if we go back to our storyboard, we have this button here that we segue to. Is there a navigation controller here? No, there's not, right? So we need to reconfigure how we segue in. Right now, our detailed view controller, I don't know if you've gotten to that situation yet in an app so far, but here we have a view controller with multiple segues. Everybody, really pay attention here. We have a view with multiple segues. We have a segue from the answer button, segue in somewhere else, and we have this show answer. We have this show answer button also segues to a different view. Our show answer segues to, where's our show answer here? It segues here, right? That's where the navigation controller is. But now we have a show answer segue into a different table view. So we need to do something extra in our setup for our segues. We could start off by giving the segue an identifier. You could give your segue an identifier, very similar to giving your cell an identifier. We'll give our segue an identifier. So the segue we want to give an identifier to is this particular segue here. The one from our answer over down here, we'll give it a segue identifier. So I'll click on the segue, click on that arrow. Yeah. We segue in from answer to the answer question controller. Because right now they're both going to prepare for segue. Because remember, the detailed view controller, that detailed view controller, its segue gets called anytime a segue is happening. Anytime a segue is happening from that view controller to a next view controller, doesn't matter from which button. There's only one prepare for segue. Right? So Yulia was trying to clear up a point. There's only one prepare for segue. It doesn't matter how many segues you have outside of that view controller, only one prepare for segue. So if you have multiple segues, you need to start identifying which one are you talking about. That's why there's a segue.identifier, right? On the segue itself, there's a property called identifier. We'll use that today to differentiate between which one, where are we going, okay? So here, click on your segue to the answer question view. Go to your attribute inspector. So click on the segue that goes to the show answers view controller. Or not show answers, sorry. The segue that goes to answer question view controller. The one that goes to the nav controller, everybody. Click on that segue. Go to where it says identifier. Go to where it says identifier. And what are we doing here? We want to say show. What is the name of this? Show answer question. Show answer question, that's fine. Show answer question, make sure to copy it. So copy it and press enter. Make sure to press enter. Okay, it's called show answer question. That's the only one we're really concerned about. But keep in mind, we could also give this one, let's just give it an identifier as well. This one actually shows answers. So click on the one that shows the table view, go to the identifier, and call it show answers. Press enter. No need to copy that one. We'll only be using the one that says show answer question. And now let's go back to our detail view controller. So go back to your questions detail controller and go to your prepare for segue. Go to prepare for segue. In our prepare for segue, we'll start off by saying if segue dot identifier equal to the identifier, the show answer question identifier. If it is equal to this, go ahead and do this block of code. So copy this and paste it in here. Okay? There's one more place you could fix it. I'll leave it as a to-do item. But now if you click on the question button, it also crashes. So the to-do item for you guys to understand exactly what we just did is to fix the question add button. It crashes for you, correct, Kelby? Yeah. Right, so we'll fix it on our own as practice. I'll keep that add question there for us to fix. But now let's verify this actually works. Run the app again. Run the app again. Let's go to the detail controller and let's verify both segues work. So if I go on a question, my answer still works. I could cancel out. My show answers works. Everybody? So whatever we just did, you do it for the add button. Right now, when I click on the add button, it crashes. Everybody? Yes? So we'll solve that, correct? Excellent. So that's our to-do item. But now let's keep going to finish out our app. Let's all navigate over to our answers view controller. And let's keep going here. Any questions about what we just did? So we used an identifier to identify what type of, what's the segue? What segue got selected, right? Based on the segue that got selected, in my detail view, based on the segue that got selected, I'm able to say, okay, if it's the show answer segue, go ahead and execute that block of code. Anything else, I don't care about. It's like as if I did not implement prepare for segue, okay? Only if you pass any information over, which we might pass information over, which we will have to pass information over, by the way. Actually, we are passing information over. We need to pass in the question. So else if segue identifier equal to, anybody remember what we called it? Show answers. We need to pass in, actually, we need to pass in the question here. So we need to pass the question. So to do, other than that, we don't know what answers we're looking for. So to do, pass the question over to the answers, no, over to the answers, yes. Answers view controller. So we need to do that. That's a to-do item. That is a to-do item. We could start doing the to-do item. It's guard let answers view controller equal to segue.destination as answers view controller, else fatal error could not downcast to good. So here we have an answers view controller, and we want to pass in answers view controller dot question. There's not a question right now, but we will create one. So that this is going to work. This is going to fail now, but we'll go over to the answers view controller and add a question, okay? We'll add in a question variable. And now our to-do is done. So two segues, two identifiers, passing different things over to the view controller. Yeah, we need to pass the question over, yeah. So we could search it in the answers array and only show questions relating to that, only show answers relating to that question. By ID, yeah. We'll filter the array based by ID. Almost there. The first one is, the second one is answers view controller, right? The first one is answers question, and the second one is the answers with the table view. Yeah, but we need a question. We need to have a question variable there. We haven't added a question variable. Right above or below your answers variable, you could have a question variable. We'll go add it now. Let's go over to answer that question. Any questions with the prepare for segue? We have one error. It's going to be solved when we add that variable in the questions view controller. Okay? Let's go over and add that particular variable. So go over to your answers view controller. Right below your answers array, add in a question. At this point, build your app. And there's no more errors because now it recognizes there's a question variable in our prepare for segue. We need a question there to know what answers we're looking for. Okay? We're in a table view, we have a bunch of answers. Which answers should I be showing? Okay? Cool? All right, let's keep going. Xcode, what did Xcode do? Let's get our question unwrapped here. So question, else, fatal error, no question found. Okay, we have a question. Let's go ahead and fetch for those answers. We have a question. Let's go ahead and fetch for the answers. Last big function of the day, a next get request. Again, this is review. Let's go ahead and make a get request. A get request to get all the answers. So let's go over to our lab questions API client. And last function of the day is, well, not promise, but as far as API clients are concerned, we have a static func here called fetch answers. Fetch answers takes in 2 arguments. Say it again. What do I have a fetch? Oh, I'm telling you guys, when you don't eat lunch, that's what happens. Okay. Fetch answers. Okay. Let's go. Okay, so we have a question that we're searching for. It's called question here. Again, come on. Yeah, question. Do we need question? It doesn't really matter because the answer has an ID. The answer has an ID, yes. So this is an answer. This is an answer. That's why we saved the ID in it to use it now. Okay. What else we need? We need a completion handler. The answer has a question ID. One second. Yes. I will get back to it at some point.
Is the ID that's on the answer the ID that was isn't that one that was created? It's different from the question.
No. What we want is right now, in the table view we have no idea what question it is. It's just answers. So in order to get the answers for that particular question, we need to pass in the question we're talking about. Okay? So next up, we need a completion here. Completion, escaping. Who feels this is the second language at this point, as far as completions? Tanya? Almost? Give it a week? Okay. All right, so here we have our completion, capture some result. What are we returning? An array of answers and some app error. Question. Okay, cool. So our function takes in a question, looks up the answers, fetches all the answers. So actually we do not need any question there. So we're actually fetching everything because our API is not robust enough to search by question ID. So we'll be fetching all answers. We'll be fetching all answers. What do we need here? We need an answers URL string. Answers URL string. We're making a GET request. So URL is needed. URL string answers URL string. If we do fail here, we'll throw a bad URL. Answers URL string. We need our endpoint URL for our answers. We have it right here. So go ahead and grab that URL from your post answer. Same URL, different method, different HTTP method. Great, so we have our URL. We get our request. Why is the request here not mutable? Why is it immutable? Why don't we care about making it a mutable array, a mutable value? In the post, we had a var request, correct? Here we have a constant request. We're not changing the request because the request itself is a basic GET request. Exactly, we had more variables coming in. But that request, we do not have anything extra here. We could have extra parameters. We'll talk about more in Unit 4, maybe some caching policy or whatever it is. But here, basic request, GET request, request with the URL is sufficient. And now we go into our network helper. That shared, that performed did a task, we pass it a request, and we get back a result. Okay, we switch on the result. We check for failure status. If it's an error, we simply capture it in the completion. If all went well, we have data back. And here we need to use that data to create an array of stuff. So here we have our do catch. We need an array of answers. We try to JSON decode it to an array of answers from the data. Right? Next, whoa. Next up, we actually success, so we just pass in our array of answers. If we do get to the catch block, that means we have a decoding error. So we failed at this point, and we return a decoding error. Okay. So in this one app, we've done post twice, and we've done get twice. So there's 4 places we've gotten practice with, reviewing the stuff, right? And as I said, please start that review lab today, not Wednesday, start today. So we could bring questions tomorrow and Wednesday. Cool. So at this point, we got back all our answers from the API. Any questions before we move on to the view controller? Yes, we are grabbing in all the answers and we're doing a filter after. A more robust API, you would be able to query by some ID of a question, whatever, get all the answers for it. But our API, it's a very simple API. We get back all the answers and we filter the answers to get the answers for that particular question. Okay? Cool. Can we move on? It's review, right? Any questions so far about post or get? We've done it twice so far, including Friday. Any questions about any part of the code in that API client? Any questions? Yes, sir. I mean, we could break it up. I mean, ideally, we could break up that one struct into 2 parts. Yeah, we can. Or we could have an extension where we only, we separating the questions and the answers. Ideally, you probably want to break it up with 2 API clients. That would probably be better. So you'd have like a lab answers API client and a lab questions API client. That would be better, as opposed to putting all 4 in the same thing. So for your purposes, refactor it, right? So Eric is going to refactor it. Very good. Always room for refactoring code. Because what started out was like an MVP product, and then we said, hey, we also want to add answers too. So we added answers, but now we could refactor code as we go. Cool. Can we move on? Yes? Okay, cool. Let's go back to our answers view controller. In our answers view controller, we have fetch answers. Let's go ahead and call our lab API client dot fetch answers. Okay, awesome. So here we are. Let's keep Jahid happy really early. Okay, cool. So let's continue on. So switch, and again, this is a capture list. It breaks any strong reference cycles. That will cause memory leaks. So here we switch on result. We say case failure, let app error. We in a view controller, we're trying to fetch answers. If we do have an error, let's show that error. In our alert, we'll simply say failed fetching answers. And for the message, we simply pass in what the error is. Next, we have our success block, which has the array of answers.
So you want the...
Oh, one thing we need to stop.
You want the show alert to say failed fetching answers?
Yeah, that's valid. Oh.
That's what it's going to show to the user?
Yeah, that's fine for now. We could tweak what it shows, but it shows us something went wrong. Yeah, you definitely want to show some error if there's an error. Maybe it's a network error, who knows. So next up, we have our success block. Why do we need to dispatch here? We don't need to dispatch here. What do we want to do here? We want to set our array of answers. Here we filter it. We're going to filter the array. So answers dot filter. What are we filtering by here? I only want answers relating to the question that I passed over to the table view. I only want answers from or answers for the question that got passed over in my segue. How do I filter? What am I filtering for? ID, right? So I'll start off by saying, that's sufficient. Tiffany, what's your question? I think we're there. I think we're pretty much done. Here we're filtering all the questions we got by question ID. So if I'm looking at question ID 3, I'm only getting answers where the question ID is 3. I'm only getting answers where the question ID is 3. Okay? That's what that particular line of code is doing. Filter by question ID. All the questions ID should be unique. We grab the question ID when we create the answer.
So I believe this is what I asked before, because I was saying that are the answer ID and the question ID different, or are they the same? But the ID that's here is the same ID technically that should be from the question.
Yes. From the detail view, it passed in the question, and we're filtering the answers based by that question ID. So if we have 100 answers and we have 4 IDs matching 18, for example, we'll get 4 answers in our table view.
And the question ID is the same ID that we got from the question.
Yes, from the detail view. Very good. Make sure that we are calling fetch answers in our view load. So view load comes on screen, our table view shows up. Is it connected, by the way? Yes, it is. Fetch answers gets called. It unwraps our question. It brings back all the answers, and it filters the answers based by the question ID that was passed in. And now our did set gets called on our table view. That loads up. Yeah. Question, Amini? Okay, let's fire it up and let's see what happens. So run the app. I think question 1 might be popular just because it's question 1.
Can you scroll up to the ID part?
Scroll up to the ID part. What ID part? This part here? Okay, so we have our app. We click on the first question. We click on show answers. And we have failed fetching answers. Question ID, okay, something is off on the no value associated with coding keys. Question ID. Okay. Question ID is nil. Let's see what's happening here. Let's see what's happening here. Question ID, question. Question ID is nil. The what? We have a URL for the API client. Let's just verify one thing here. Sorry.
Oh, no, we don't. We just said that. Wait, can we go back?
Where? The API client?
Yeah.
We have the URL here for answers. We have that. Part of our decoding, we have a decoding error. Let's figure out the decoding error. Decoding error on answer. Decoding error on answer. Question ID, which is what we really need, it's nil. All right, let's verify our API. Let us verify our API. So data, question ID. Oh, people are pushing up question IDs with different parameters, with different names. I have a question ID with ID as uppercase here. I'll clean that up. What else? ID. I think that's it. Verify and make sure your ID is not uppercase I and uppercase D. It's uppercase I, lowercase d. Okay? Verify that in your code. I think that was the only two that I saw. I like how we're breaking API live here. It's awesome. It's awesome. Okay, let us verify here. So update. Go back, run the app again. Again, verify your ID is the same as mine. Question, it's not, there's still more. What is this one? This is title. We'll get it eventually. Title, somebody put in title here. 1 second, let me just test this before we actually run it. See what else that, oh, somebody broke the other side of the app. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. What's that?
Some of the data Lily found
In the questions, right?
the question ID, some of the things are capital.
I saw that, I fixed that. Oh, let me go back to the question because I fixed the one on the answer. No posting yet, guys. We're only testing answers for now.
I'm getting an error.
1 second. I'm fixing the same error right now. 1 second. So questions also has bad data. I almost want to blow up the whole data and start again. Question ID. Where is the question ID in here? Who's posting question IDs to the Who's posting question IDs to the question? A mini? What? 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 Okay. So the questions API is back up. Let us now go over. 1 second. I want to verify API first. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Show answers. Still more problems here. Question ID is invalid. All right. I'll do one thing. I'll actually blow up all the data. No posting yet, please. No posting. Everybody, no posting, no getting, nothing. Let me verify this here. Like Steve Jobs says, turn off your Wi-Fi. That's when he had enough. Turn off your Wi-Fi. Okay, so I'm gonna zip out everything here, zero out everything, zero out everything. Run the app, no more data. Great. So I'll create a question myself. Well, do I need to fix this? Okay, I need to fix this for you guys. If segue identifier equal to, oh, but you'll do it yourself, so I could actually speed type, right? This is going to be called show. This, I'm just going to fix this one question thing because that's a to-do for you to do. When I click on this is called show question DC. Go back here, and this is this. Run that. Can I add? Yes, I can. Let's add random. Let's add random, create, success. I don't have a pull to refresh, or I do have a pull to refresh. Awesome. Go here, show answers, no answers yet. I add an answer, random, post answer, posted. Go back here, show answers, nothing shows up. Okay. I'm verifying the API, then we'll be able to work together. Okay, so I didn't get a decoding error, that's fine. But my data source is not called, guys. Table view dot data source equal to self. And show answers. Boom, I have an answer. That's great. Add the next answer. Posted. View answers. Great. Perfect. So let's verify a couple things before we break the API again. Our questions, guys. This is the format of our question. It should be the same. I'll slack it out. Actually, I trust you to type it. It should be the same as we have here. We'll go model to model. Make sure we all have the same things. My question model, this is what it looks like. We verify, we're good? Yes? Okay. Next up, my posted question. This is the model. This is what it looks like. Majid, we verify models as you come in. We verify models. So look at your question model. Christian, take a look at the question model, make sure it's the same. This is our posted question model. Great. Next, posted answer. Our posted answer should look the same. Go back to the previous one. I like that. Verification. Edit that at. Make sure it's not A uppercase T. The only I'll go through the changes I made. The only changes, not to the models. I didn't make any changes to the models. Next up, posted answer should be the same. I saw where the I and the D were uppercase. That crashed the app, right? Or the API. So make sure the question ID is the same. That's why APIs are protected, right? Heavily, heavily protected the best they can. That's why sometimes they just close the API altogether. Because they're like, oh, developers. So they close the API down, shut it down, for many reasons. Okay, so our posted answer is the same, correct? Awesome. Our answer, daily double. Our answer should be the same. ID, name, avatar, question ID, question lab name, question title, answer, description, created app. So far, so good? Question title. Oh, I think I do it optional because stuff keep breaking. Let me verify here. Good question. That should not be optional. Everything should still work. Great. So nothing is optional. In our models, there's no optionals. Great. Yes, sir.
I pressed the link at the wrong time.
That was a to-do.
No. I had an error in the first case. Specifically.
I'll come to you while we are going through this. So first off, to get the app to work, you need to create a question. To create a question, let's go. That was a to-do, but now it's a to-do all. In our Prepare for Segue, update our Prepare for Segue in the lab questions controller to look like mine. It says if segue.identifier equal to show question DC. I think there's a ID already in there. Somebody please verify that there's no ID yet. Really, if you click on the segue for the, oh, you have to add it. For the, where are we going to? We're going to question detail controller. There was nothing there when you clicked on it. Okay, but yours works now, right?
So you want us to change the name to show question DC?
Yes, that's the identifier for when you click on the table view, you segue over, correct?
Yeah.
Not the table view. Yeah, the table view. When you click on the table view cell on the first scene, you segue over to the detail controller. So when you select the cell, on that particular segue, this is what you need to change. So first off, update the prepare for segue, then we'll go over to the storyboard to see what it looks like. First off, that's what you need to do. Add 2 lines of code. One says if segue.identifier equal to show question DC, and then you embed your whole guard statement in there, and you close it with a closing curly. Build, make sure there's no errors before we go over to the main storyboard. How are you doing, Yulia? It's there, right? So it's gonna crash. You don't have to add it, it's there already.
Unless she's using hers. And you didn't,
I'm so confused. Okay, so,
remember you said something updated? So unless.
Oh, yeah, I'll verify. Tiffany, how can I unconfuse you here?
okay, so the first one that we did, the first identifier we did was the one that,
The identifier I'm talking about right now, we haven't done at all. When you click on the add button, the app crashes.
so this is from the lab, okay, and this is going to.
This one, when you click on a cell,
Uh-huh.
it navigates to a detailed view controller.
Oh, show BC. Oh, that identifier is there.
It's there, correct. Second confirmation. So that identifier is there already. Second confirmation, everybody. Let's go over to, everybody's okay here with the prepare for segue? May? Okay, let's go over to our storyboard. I'm referring to this segue here. It's still highlighted. Right? This segue, when you click on it, it highlights the cell. This particular segue should read show question, detail controller. You click on the segue between the cell, this segue here, on the first, on lab questions. On lab questions?
From my questions to the detail.
Yes, exactly. So it should read show question DC. How we doing, class? How we doing? We good? That was a to-do, right? That was a to-do?
No.
That was a to-do.
What was the to-do?
What you just did.
What I did with you, what we just did with you?
Yeah, with the if segue. Tiffany's like, that's it?
I still don't understand. I don't understand. Okay, so we have the if and segue is this just but. Well,
Other than that, it's going to the modal presentation, which we're not passing any data to. Okay? All right.
Sorry. So my confusion before is why is it that when we added identifiers for the other, for the answer question and the
We had two identifiers.
right. Why is it that when we added it before that it messed up our add button? Why is that?
What do you mean? It didn't mess up the ad button. In what way? When you say mess up, what do you mean?
Mess up as in like the app crashed when we pressed on the add button after.
Because we did not have that. It was trying to segue, it was trying to downcast, and it crashed because it couldn't find that controller. It was a navigation controller.
No, I'm not talking about the first time when we added the.
If you have two segues,
Mhm.
one segue is passing data, the second segue probably is not passing data.
Mhm.
If you have in your prepare for segue only taking care of the one that passes data,
The one that.
it will crash your app when you click on the one that's not passing data.
Right,
Bec-
so now
mhm.
what about the other ones? So now those two, I understand that, but when we got that working, on that first initial lab question, when we pressed the.
It was broken already. It was broken since we added, since of last week maybe.
Oh.
It was broken already. It broke the minute we added that second segue.
Okay, so I guess I.
So it was broken over the weekend.
Okay.
It was broken already. Cool?
Okay.
Very good. Second thing, can you see answers? I could see answers, but can you see answers? I could see answers here. When I click on show answers,
How come we only have 5 questions then? What did you do? Did you delete our
I
question?
blew up the database. That happens. Okay? Starts from scratch.
I see answers, but I guess some of them just don't have.
No, but do you see answers when you click on the show answers? Like the first one has, let me, there we go. Somebody, there's a rogue person here passing some title here.
My God, did you hack into the API?
6 questions. Nobody do anything yet? Nobody do anything yet, please? Let's verify what's happening here. Nobody touch anything. Who is passing question title for a question?
He's not even annoying. That place.
I'm not. It takes a lot. Somebody's passing a question title. Guys, Thursday, we'll give you information and we'll tell you pass in those objects. Somebody's not going to pass the objects.
Everyone thinks it's gonna crash?
Yeah, we all use the same.
Answer description does not belong here. Somebody is creating a question and passing answer description. Everything else is fine.
Wait, creating a question. Like
Chastity, whoever created not Chastity. Whoever said, does this work? Who said, does this work? I'm not picking on anybody, so I'm just trying to help everybody. Was it here?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see.
Been here for like 2 hours.
now my shit's going. Today was the longest lecture for Alex. It was the longest.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Does this work? Take this out. Update. Refresh. Okay, so it works, right? Guys, come back. We're almost done here. Okay, so we have 5 questions. If I click on Y, show answers. There's no answers for Y. Random had answers. 3 answers. You guys could post answers. Let's verify here.
Oh, random has answers. I don't have anything for random. Am I missing something?
That's what I'm saying. Like you're missing something there. There's a cookie jar, something. There's something left there that you need to debug. Does this work? I could click on answer here. Maybe. Post answer. Go back to show answers. Sub, right? So somebody added a sub here, right? Is everybody able to post answers? Go ahead and test posting answers. And add more questions as well. Add more questions. Everybody add questions minus this one person. Fetch answers. Fetch answers. Fetch answers. One second. Give me 1 second. I'm not seeing questions coming in. Are we posting questions? Questions was working before. So you should be able to post questions here. You're not getting answers because your table view data source hasn't been set. You could post questions, you could post answers, both. Let's get data happening here. Value of... Post both questions and answers and we'll wrap up lecture. What? What happened?
How do you know that my data source?
Look, tested. That's good. Somebody put that up. You could affix your name so I could give you some props here. Why? Why not? No answers for this. Hello. Hey. Sub maybe. No, David. Does that work? Yes, it does. But your code is broken. Okay. What do you want to see? Answers view controller. This guy. What part? Make sure you have your data source set. Make sure you call fetch answers. And your API client, that's what it looks like. It filters the answers. One second.
This is the raw subject.
Off subject, okay.
The reason our add button doesn't work is because of the segue.
Add button should work right now. I'm able to add. But yes, because of the segue. And we fixed it. We fixed it with the if segue identifier equal to show detail DVC. We fixed it in the lab. If you go back to the lab question controller, we fixed it here on line 33.
So we're not supposed to add a attachment, we're just supposed to add a question.
The question asks for a title and a description. And you select one of the labs. Cool? And we have more labs. I have more labs somewhere. Go ahead, Christian.
Oh, it autocorrects too? Oh, we can.
So we have more labs, by the way. Let me get more labs here. We have more labs in labs. Okay, so we have more labs. Let me stack it out. So basically update your labs with this particular. We have more labs. I trust you. What? Go ahead and add more labs here. So, whoa, okay, that's good. Right? Yeah, updated labs array. So updated labs array, go to your create questions and paste this in. Now we have more labs. We could create more questions. Whoa, good. Okay, we got more questions coming in. I posted a question, great. Let me post an answer. Well, what's the question? Guys, where's the real questions? How does did set get called? Let's answer this one. Gets called when a variable gets set. Example, var name equal to Bob. At this point, names did set will get called, and any block in the did set will get executed. All right, post that answer. At this point, how does did set get called? We should see the answers here. Type it in. LOL. You guys are funny. Are we able to see the answers? We able to post questions? We able to see answers? Anybody else who needs help, I'll come through and I'll help along the way. So here we have our little channel. We could post questions and see answers. Okay? Cool? Any questions? There'll be questions. Look at the app. We've built the app to be on MVP. We've added questions. We've added answers. We've added a table view where you can see answers. There's a lot of things happening here. We'll stop here with the application. Tomorrow we'll kick off reviewing, whatever reviewing. Questions you bring in, please bring questions in. Hey, heck, just post questions on the lab questions app. It might just get answered quicker than, right? Cool? Any questions? You have a question, you said?
Yeah, my question.
I'll come and take a look at any individual crashes we have along the way. Yes, sir. As far as like Unit 3, we're not going to go over put, update. Unit 3 is just interested in get and post, delete, put, update, patch, all those. It's trivial from here on.
Okay. I mean, well, like, you know, if we have a table view, right, and we don't have to, like, delete things by, like, sorting,
Yeah.
how would we edit the table view cell?
That would be like an update you do on it. You probably use, like, I'll probably use, if I want to edit like a question, for example,
What if I want to sort to the right?
That's customization stuff there with the table view itself, right? That's more like post unit 4 stuff. Yes, sir.
So, if you have,
Guys, question on the
you
table.
have more than more than two segues on the same view, you only need to identify one.
It depends on what you're looking for. If one of the segues, you're not passing any data, right? There's no need to have a segue is identifier on that. But if you pass in data to that block, that segue, you need to say if segue identifier equal to show my detailed controller, and in the block where that if block is, that's where you pass the data. So you restrict it to only deal with that particular segue, right? In our case, to answer your question even more in depth here, in our case, the one segue we care about when we're showing a detailed view, we don't care about the segue where we're showing the question creation because we're not passing any data there. If we were passing data, we would say else if show create question, pass it some sort of variable. Make sense? It's almost like if you don't care with the data, you really don't need prepare for segue. Cool? Great. Thanks for the question. Any more questions? Yes, question.
So, we can expect to have to, do
You could expect to have 5 segues on Thursday. Is that the question?
Yes, but the segues, because we can have 5 segues, and 5 segues could be very simple, but do we mean 5 segues?
5 segues passing data, all 5.
That's true. But it doesn't mean that we would have 5 segues where, we could be segueing to 2 different view controllers.
Yes, expect that. That's why we showed that today. Yes. Right? Any other questions? Don't expect put. I'm only going to write put for Ahad. Ahad is going to get put. He's going to get put and update and delete. And he's going to have to archive his deletes.
Wait, hold up.
You have to archive your deletes. If in case the person wants to retrieve. If they want to retrieve their delete, they could retrieve it. Cool? All right. Thank you, guys. It was a good day. We had a good app. I'll wrap it up here.